The National Assembly begins work on President Buhari's request for varment, as well as a medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal policy paper, FSP. I'm Linda Akibe, and you're welcome to the Gavel. The MTEF, FSP, and President Buhari's request for varment are being worked on in the National Assembly. Lawmakers during the week began this work on the varment request, as well as the MTEF and FSP. However, the MTEF came under heavy criticism in the Senate, as federal lawmakers say the policy document is a fraud, unrealistic and misleading. Lawmakers had issues with the projected 3.02 GDP growth rate for 2017, as well as the average oil production of 2.2, 2.3 and 2.4 million barrels per day for the next 3 years. They said these projections are unrealistic. But this is problematic because the executive appears set to present the 2017 budget, and the projections in the MTEF form the basis of the annual budget. The President's submission of the Medium-Term Expenditure Framework MTEF and Fiscal Policy Paper FSP to the National Assembly is a yearly ritual. The MTEF and FSP sets the stage for the country's annual budget. But it has not been a smooth sail for the MTEF this year. Lawmakers in the Senate had earlier accused the President of sending an empty MTEF to the Senate. Federal lawmakers finally began the debate on the MTEF. The MTEF and FSP are proposing a budget that will be predicated on an oil revenue benchmark $42.5 per barrel for 2017, $45 for 2018, and $50 for 2019. An average oil production of 2.2 million barrels per day for 2017, 2.3 million barrels per day for 2018, and 2.4 million barrels per day for 2019. An average exchange rate of 219 naira per dollar, and a GDP growth projection of 3.02%. But lawmakers had a host of issues with the projections in the policy document.
This MTEF proposal and projection of the 2017 to 2019 is a lie. This document is not truthful, it's not honest, it's not transparent, and it's not factual.
For federal government independent revenue, which in 2016 was projected for about 1.5 trillion, for 2017 it's been brought down slightly to 1.2, but the performance of this class of revenue has been the worst in 2016. So I don't even think that 1.2 is realistic enough. Then finally, when you look at the expenditure, I mean, from having a budget total expenditure in 2016 of about 6 trillion, for 2017, it's put at 6.8 trillion. I believe, for example, that it's not just figures for the sake of figures. It's not just an aggregate expenditure figure that you want to make noise about. It has to be a figure that is realistic.
I believe what the Senate needs to do is to take this document to the committees and allow us, as individuals, have inputs so that we can tinker with it and put it in proper shape. The way it is voodoo oriented, and the economy of a nation cannot be done by any voodoo contraption which is in this change document.
Again, a lot has been said about the exchange rate. Even at the end of the MPC meeting of the CBN, they confirmed that the exchange rate will remain at 305. And this clearly tells us that there is no coordination between the fiscal authority and the monetary authorities.
Some lawmakers are also asking for a performance review of the 2016 budget.
I believe going forward, Mr. President, there is need for us to jointly review the performance of previous year's budget before any consideration is given to any medium-term expenditure framework.
Nevertheless, The bill was sent to the Committees on Appropriation and Finance for further legislative work. 2 weeks ago, Senate President Bukola Saraki set up a committee to find solutions to the industrial crisis between the federal government and the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU. The committee has been meeting with ASU officials, the Ministers of Education, Labour and Finance. Now, after his last meeting on Thursday, the chairman of the Senate Committee on Tertiary Institutions told Channels Television that both parties have agreed to some of the issues raised, except 3 issues, one of which is the payment of earned allowances of lecturers. The Senate has had several meetings with the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, to bring an end to the industrial dispute between the union and the federal government. Senate President Bukola Saraki 2 weeks ago set up a committee made up of ASU officials, the Ministry of Education, Labour and some lawmakers to resolve the impasse. In an interview with Channels Television, the chairman, Senate Committee on Tertiary Institution, gave us a situation report on the status of the negotiations between ASU and the federal government.
Another area that there's a disagreement is the status of the university staff school. As you are aware, the matter is before an industrial court, before a court of law, which judgment, I think the judgment in that case is scheduled to be made by the court on the 5th of December. Now, as we're saying that we should revert back to status quo ante, so that whatever comes out of the court case, in fact, they even say they are not part of the court case. So the salaries of the staff of the university staff school should be paid as at when due, and the backlog that have not been paid should be paid. So there's a disagreement here because of what I've said earlier. Then another area of contention is the issue of budgetary allocation to education, to the educational sector. They are saying at least 15% of the national budget should be dedicated to the funding of education. And we're saying, yes, everybody likes education. We want even something more than that should be allocated to education. But that will depend on what the executive submits to the National Assembly.
Meanwhile, a lawmaker in the House of Representatives, Representative Ndukwe Nkole, has applauded the federal government's move to remobilize contractors handling key ongoing road projects in the country. The lawmaker also applauded the Ministry of Works, Power and Housing for listing the 27-kilometer Abiriba-Arochukwu Road project among strategic commercial valuable roads to be repaired across the country. He also appealed to the Minister of Works, Power and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, to ensure that the road project is adequately provided for in the 2017 budget to ensure that work does not stop again.
We in Arochukwu Federal Constituency received this bold decision of the Honorable Minister with great relief. We are encouraged that Abiriba-Arochukwu, which the Nigerian media has described as the worst road in Africa, caught the attention of the Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister may not know that my federal constituency made up of Arochukwu, Ohafia, Ihejawa, Bututu, Isu, and parts of Abam have been cut off from the rest of the country because of the deplorable condition of this particular road.
Meanwhile, the House of Representatives is calling on the Ministry of Works to ensure that a federal road linking Kano, Jigawa and Katsina states to Niger Republic is included in the 2017 budget estimates. This resolution followed consideration of a motion sponsored by Representative Sani Fago and 2 members. The lawmakers observed that the single-lane road is in a bad state and in need of urgent repairs.
The House resolved that the above single-lane road, which links Kano, Jigawa, and the Katsina State through to Niger Republic, in such a pitiable, deplorable condition that it portends a great danger to the lives of commuters. Also, the House notes that since the construction of the 149-kilometer road decades ago, no major rehabilitation work has been carried out on it, despite the magnitude of vehicular movement on a daily basis. Informed that the deplorable state of the road is adversely affecting socio-economic activities in the areas.
Former President Olusegun Obasanjo caused more than a stir during the week when he described the National Assembly as a den of corruption. He's recommending that the anti-corruption war in the judiciary should be extended to the National Assembly.
It was a war of words between former President Olusegun Obasanjo and the spokesman of the House of Representatives, Abdulrazak Namdas. Former President Obasanjo fired the first missile when he said at a forum in Lagos that budget pardon is a reality in the National Assembly and must be punished.
If the judiciary is being cleaned, what of the National Assembly, which stinks much worse than the judiciary? Budget pardon must not go unpunished. It is a reality which is a regular and systemic practice. Nobody should pull wool over the eyes of Nigerians. Ganging up to intimidate this and threaten the life of whistleblower is deplorable and undemocratic. What of the so-called constituency projects, which is a veritable source of corruption? These constituency projects are spread over the budget for members of the National Assembly, for which they are the initiator and the contractor, directly or by proxy, and money will be fully drawn, with the project only partially executed or not executed at all. The National Assembly cabal of today is worse than any cabal that anybody may find anywhere in our national governance system.
The House of Representatives was not prepared to take his comments lightly, and the spokesman of the House described the comments made by the former president as a misstatement of facts.
He ventured to accuse the National Assembly of budget padding, accuse the House of criminal activities, of threatening the life of a whistleblower, lampoon constituency projects, which he approved as president, ventured to discuss the budget of the National Assembly, which is highly underfunded. The House of Representatives will ordinarily not join issues with the former president, as he has held an office that deserves respect and reverence. However, because of the material misstatement of facts, outright lies, and falsehoods, and mischievous innuendo introduced in his statement, we are left with no option but to correct him.
Allegations of budget pardon by the National Assembly has been a source of debate in the public space for months. The former chairman of the House Committee on Appropriation, Representative Abdulmumin Jibrin, had accused the leadership of the House and some lawmakers of fraud and budget pardon. Some public analysts have urged anti-corruption agencies to investigate these allegations involving federal lawmakers.